following the demands coming from my viewers, they wanted me to discuss about the OINP International Student Stream. So let's go now for the job offer International Student Stream. The same with the foreign skilled worker, there are three requirements that you need to be in compliance to be able for you to submit your documents or your applications for the OINP under this stream. So number one is the job offer requirements, number two is the applicant requirements, and number three is the employer requirements. So if you satisfy all these three requirements, definitely you would be able to apply for the International Student Stream. Please take note that the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program has implemented the National Occupation Classification NOC 2021 system. So it's different from the previous year because previous year we are using the old NOC code number. So now we have to search our NOC based on the 2021 system. I would put the link below so you can click that and you can find what's your latest NOC. That would be depends on your job title, or if you have your old NOC, you can easily find what's the job title from your old NOC and the equivalent for the latest NOC. So the Employer Job Offer International Student Stream gives international students with a job offer in a skilled occupation the opportunity to apply to permanently live and work in Ontario. So this one would give you a opportunity to be able for you to become a permanent resident here in Ontario if you are an international student. Your job offer must be in skilled occupation. Take note, at TR or the Training, Education, Experience and Responsibilities category of 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I think now it becomes much wider because before I think there are only few NOC code, but now it becomes TR 0, 1, 2, or 3 of the National Occupation Classification Code. So when you search on that link, you would find your NOC number and then you would also find what's that ER number. If it falls from 0 to 3, then you are qualified for this stream. So, but prior to that, you need to register first your OINP expression of interest in the OINP expression of interest system and receive the invitation to apply before you can apply online to be nominated by the Ontario government for permanent residence. This means that you need to create a profile for your own expression of interest, fill in all the informations in there, and then you would have a score based on the information you have filled in. So based on that score, they would make their own draw, and once your score is on that range, then you would be able to receive an invitation to apply. If you are nominated, your next steps to apply for the federal or the IRCC for your permanent residency. So as what I said previously on my previous blog, once you get your nominations from the OINP on this stream, right away you would be able to apply for your permanent residency. So let's go first for the first requirements, which is the job offer requirements. So to qualify under the Employer Job Offer International Student Stream, you must have a job offer in Ontario from the employer that meets the following requirements. Number one is the full-time and permanent job offer. So when we say full-time, that means that the job must be a minimum of 1,560 hours a year and a minimum of 30 hours of paid work per week. permanent means the job must have no end base, also known as indeterminate duration. Job offers that are seasonal or contract-based are ineligible. Make sure that your job offer is full-time and permanent. Okay, that's the number one part of the job offer requirements. Number two is the eligible occupation. As I previously mentioned, the job offered must be in a skilled occupation of TEER category 0, 1, 2, or 3 of the National Occupation Classification Code. Number three, this is the good thing for the international student, the low wage level. This what makes the international student differ from the foreign worker, because the foreign worker needs to have a median wage level, which is at some point it's so high, but if you're an international student, you only need the low wage level. So at least the same with the low wage level or higher, then you would be eligible for this. The pay of the job offered must meet or be higher than the low wage level for that occupation in the specific region of Ontario where you will be working. So for you to be able to find the low wage, go to the job bank website with your NOC code and your locations, and then you will find there a tabulated per hour rates, and then you can find if it's low, median, or the higher wage. So number four is the position is urgently necessary to employer's business. Of course, definitely, once your employer give you an offer letter, for sure it would be like a urgent. So the position offered must be urgently necessary to your employer's business. This means that the job offer must align with your employer's existing business activities, and the position must be urgently needed to maintain or grow ongoing business activities. Number five is work based in Ontario. So you are applying for the OINP, so most probably you would be working inside the Ontario. So that's the number five requirements. The work you do while in the position of the job offer must occur primarily in Ontario, or the applicant requirements. So this is your own requirements as an international student, what you need to comply with. So after you receive an invitation to apply, you may apply to the employer job offer international student stream. You must meet all the requirements in categories in order for your application to be approved. So these are the categories. Number one is the expression of interest and invitation to apply. So you cannot apply with this stream without receiving the ITA or invitation to apply. Your expression of interest is not an application for this stream. It's just you are showing your interest that you want to apply for this stream. So that's two different things. So number one is the expression of interest and invitation to apply. That's your first requirements. Number two is your education. So since you're an international student, you need to have this. You must have received from an eligible Canadian institution one of the following. Number one is the degree or diploma that takes at least 2 years to complete if you study on a full-time basis. And next is a degree, diploma, or certificate that takes at least 1 year to complete if you study on a full-time basis that requires a completed degree as an admission requirement. So I know that most of the students here studied 2 years, so you are eligible for this. Next is the valid license or authorizations. Sorry, again, for the educations, they never mentions that you have to submit your WES because they were thinking that you are educated here in Canada. So you would have your diploma or certificate from Canada. Then they would not require any of your WES from your previous schools because the program or the studies you've done here is much higher than the previous one, so they only need the higher one. So let's go with number 3 requirements, the valid license or other authorizations. So this would be only required if your job required you a valid license, like if you're working as a doctor, a nurse, an engineer, or any other work that requires a valid license from the province, then you would need this. Otherwise, don't bother about this number 3. So number 4 is the intention to live in Ontario. This is like one of the very important things for you to be able to show that you really wanted to stay here in Ontario. You need to show some ties, like your work, like if you are working or having work in Ontario, would determine this by examining your ties to Ontario, which includes, like, let's say, working or having work in Ontario. If you stay here like for a while, you need to show your ties. You need to show your T4, your job offer, even your job application. So if you get some job offers applying to or interviewing for jobs, you can have the screenshots of that and attach on your application. If you studied here, for sure, you studied here because this is your stream, so attach the documents to prove that you have studied here. If you do some volunteer works, if you lease or own a property, if you have a car, if you have your driving license, if you have your OINP card. So if you are visiting here, like for any places, or even, let's say, if you book a hotels for your holidays here in Ontario, that would be also a good ties in Ontario. Or if you're having some professional networks and affiliations, family ties, personal relationships. If you have friends here, you can put their names and their contact numbers. So just to show exactly that you really settled in here in Ontario, or you really wanted to settle here in Ontario. Number 5 is the legal status in Canada. So while doing the EOI, or after receiving the IDA and submitting your applications for the OINP, you need to show that you are still legal to stay here in Canada. What does it mean? You need to have a proper documents, like a work permit, a study permit, or a visitor record. You may apply if you are in employed status at the time of your OINP application submissions. So that's the requirements for the legal status in Canada. The legal status in Canada is only for those people who are here in Canada, but if you're outside in Canada, then don't worry about this item number 5. So number 6 is the application period. So you must submit your application within 2 years of completing the requirements necessary to obtain your degree. So upon completion of your studies, you would be only qualified for this stream within 2 years upon graduation. So you must apply to this stream on or before you reach your 2 years. Employer requirements. What are the employer requirements? This is also number 1 very important thing. The general requirements for the employer is have been in active business for at least 3 years prior to submitting your application, have business premises in Ontario where you will work, and have no outstanding orders made against them under the Ontario Employment Standard Act 2000 or the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Number 2 is the revenue requirements for your employer. Your employer's business must meet one of the relevant revenue requirements for the most recently completed fiscal year. A minimum of 1 million in total gross annual revenue if you will work or report to work at the locations in a GTA. GTA includes the City of Toronto, Durham, Halton, York, and Peel regions, or a minimum of 500,000 in total gross annual revenue if you will work or report to work at the location outside of the GTA. Number 3 is the full-time employee requirements. So your employer business must have at the time of application submission one of the following: at least 5 full-time employees, or a citizen if you are applying inside the GTA, or at least 3 full-time employees who are Canadian citizen or permanent residents if you are applying outside of GTA. So that's the important thing for the full-time employee requirements. So if you're joining on the company, you need to see that at least 5 of them is a citizen or permanent resident if you are in the GTA. But if you're outside the GTA, you need to know if at the place you are about to work, there is 3 employees who are Canadian citizens or permanent residents. And the most important thing is to have the employer form. So your employer must take an application for approval for an employment position by filling out and signing an employer form. So employer form can be downloaded directly. I can put you the link below. And this is the important thing that your employer has to do on behalf of you. So they need to fill in the information form, the employer form, I mean. So guys, thank you for watching, and I hope you would like and subscribe on my channel. Also, I would really appreciate if you can press the heart shape down below, and I would really appreciate if you can donate any amount for me to be able to continue doing this kind of vlog. And I would love to give you more information about anything about immigration to Canada and permanent residency applications or any job work permit applications. Thank you so much guys, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.